to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Pound on your chest like there's no tomorrow. Just play the game right, no one can follow. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up.
2021 season is finally over. Feels like it's been going since 2020.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of short, just very exciting.
It felt long to me. Christy went from coming in 4th in the Open this year.
Not bad.
To...
I was 10th in the North America quarterfinal.
Quarterfinals, then didn't qualify through Granite Games, kept her head in it, and rallied on the second day of the last chance qualifier and went from 12th place, came out with 2 first place finishes to bump her up to 2nd, and then ended up placing 8th at the CrossFit Games this year. So it has been a wild ride to say the least, but it's been a whole lot of fun. We're glad to be home. We've got all kinds of stuff to share from the CrossFit Games. The experience was overall good. How are you feeling now?
I feel great. I feel like we prepared super well. And to be honest, I think this was my favorite year yet, not because I almost didn't get to go, but just the programming in general felt really well-rounded. I felt really prepared. I'm not overly sore, nothing hurts. I'm looking forward to working out again, and actually I already kind of started, but nothing crazy intense. Looking forward to being back in the community with my CFP Fitness family.
As a whole, this was a really good experience at the CrossFit Games. I think most people, including us, were just grateful to be at the event in person. Last year was a little bit weird unless you ended up being one of those top 5s that got to compete at the ranch. But the perspective of almost not getting to go and just feeling grateful to be there made it enjoyable and almost took a little bit of the pressure off for both Christy and I, and that I think allowed her to perform really well, but also not ride the highs and lows as much as maybe other years, which is a really hard thing not to do, and it just made the experience very enjoyable. We were grateful to be in the back. She was grateful to get to go on the floor. I was grateful to watch.
We just had a ton of fun.
Yeah, we did have a ton of fun. And this year the volume wasn't particularly high, so it wasn't really a beatdown either. There's a lot of years where people's hands are torn up, or you are barely walking in the morning and you still got to go out and do 2 or 3 or 4 more events. And this year, though the workouts were hard, the overall volume wasn't that high, and there wasn't one muscle group that seemed to get kind of destroyed more than the others. So when the weekend was over, Chrissy didn't feel all that bad.
Yeah, so that's great programming. Thanks, Dave.
Starting with the swim paddle, which we always prefer kind of starting with something longer. And I think for most people, not having to start out with a sprint when you've got that big adrenaline rush of getting there for the first event seems to be a good thing. Christy loves swimming, but the flippers definitely kind of even the playing field a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think having the fins helped the non-swimmers probably more than it helped the swimmers. I'm glad they did give all of us fins, because a mile is a really long swim that can be pretty intimidating, especially if you're not that comfortable with open water swimming, into a very long kayak. The kayak was like 50 plus minutes, so I think that having those fins was a really great call, and it also allowed people's shoulders to be saved just a bit, because we had some really heavy thrusters and some wall walks coming. So I think that was just a really good call, and a great way to start the week was we could all work really hard and have that longer event to start, and then that just kind of introduced us into the weekend.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Christy as well with the paddling itself, the kayaking, because we've done a little bit of that, but very recreationally, and it's certainly been a few years, and to hold her own on that. She came out early on the swim, but the paddle played much more of a role in that event than the swimming did.
It was hard.
And she crushed it, and it was really funny to hear the way sound travels in the open water, the microphones being able to pick up on the banter between Tia and Christy as you guys were kind of making your way across.
So yeah, I saw Tia on the outside, and I knew at some point she was gonna have to come over, and she was already catching me, so she was paddling a bit faster. So the way I like to race, the way I like to run, the way I like to do everything, I did it on the prone paddleboard with her back in 2018 also, is like, I don't like to be in the lead. I like to try to find a pace and stick to somebody else's pace, and then at the last second, when you feel really good, then you take off. Well, Tia kind of came in front of me, so I figured I'd just let her block the wind and break the water for me, and I would just cruise right in her draft, because they didn't say you couldn't draft. So she was telling me to back off, but we were just having a good laugh out on the water, all in fun and games. It's really fun. We kind of were laughing that it was us two on the kayak because it was us two on the prone paddleboard. It's us two on the run, us two on the swim. And I had no idea really how to kayak, and she said she hadn't kayaked much either. So I knew she would be up there, but I was kind of surprised I was up there. So it was fun to sit in her wake or in her draft for, I don't know, like 30 minutes. It was very, very slow, and by the end I just wanted to finish that event.
Another memorable event was the sprint, which I also was really impressed by Christy being a distance runner, that she did so well in such a short, powerful event. But also she, which I didn't even realize, she wore some nice earrings that I had gotten her for her anniversary at the CrossFit Games.
Our anniversary, our second wedding anniversary.
What did I say?
My anniversary at the CrossFit Games.
Well, it's your anniversary gift.
Yeah, my anniversary gift.
And what happened?
I ran so fast I lost one. I was so distraught.
I would not consider them workout earrings, much less going to the CrossFit Games earrings, but apparently she decided to keep them in, and at some point she ran so fast she lost one of them. So we will have to see if we can either replace one, and if not, we'll be replacing two. So if anybody's out in that parking lot where they ran, keep your eyes peeled because there's some very nice earrings around.
The sprint was really fun. It was pretty cool running into the stadium. And that was a pretty quick turnaround after event 2. We basically finished event 2. They gave us enough time to have a shake, basically, and then we had to jog the course. So that's when you pretty much realized you were in for a long weekend, is they were just dragging us from one place to the other. You would just bring all of your stuff with you and you would be there all day. Like the one day on day 1 we checked in at 7 a.m. and I don't think we got back to the room till almost 8 p.m. So we had to have everything with us for that day. So that's what makes the CrossFit Games a little bit more challenging than other competitions. You have to stay mentally focused throughout the entire weekend. My next memorable moment from the CrossFit Games would be the clean ladder. So when he announced the clean ladder and he said power or squat, I was like, oh, here we go again. Usually if you power, it's faster, and then he threw us for the loop and announced the run. He just totally changed that event. So I knew if I ran hard, I was pretty comfortable cleaning when I was under fatigue, but I knew I would have to switch into a squat clean. But what we've learned is a squat clean's not always slower or that much slower than a power clean if I can just pick the bar up versus standing at the bar, looking at it and deciding if I'm gonna power. So in my head, I knew I was switching to squat clean, and my goal was just to run hard. Coming in behind Tia and realizing I was in like 2nd place overall in that event, when on paper both of those events, typically barbell ladder or speed ladder or something like that, are not good events for me. So just to see how far we'd come and how hard I've worked over the last year, getting to race Tia to that final bar, I knew that she was going to power clean it, so I knew she'd be slightly faster, but just even being in that race with her was a total blast. That's probably one of my all-time favorite memories of my career so far.
I think that was probably one of my favorite events as well. The way they set it up, I also thought was just really unique and cool, that it was in the Coliseum, but the twist was running outside of that to where they were able to open it up, have a run, which totally mixes things up, and kind of evens the playing field a little bit, so it's not strictly a strength workout, and you still got to have some conditioning in there and figure out what your pace is going to be to where you can still lift those heavy barbells. And to watch Christy just like chip everybody off, pick them off one by one, get up to where Tia was at and give her a foot race for the finish was just like really cool to watch. I'm not sure how much of that you guys could see on the coverage, but watching that live was really cool and exciting, and the crowd went nuts like when they were both sprinting down to the last barbell. I was pretty sure too that Tia would kind of just grip it and rip a power clean, but for Christy to still even be there right behind her, not really take any extra time and do that last clean and be right behind her for that event was just, it was really cool to watch.
I think that was probably one of my favorite moments. Of course, you guys know I love the running toe to bar workout. It really wasn't a toe to bar workout at all. It was basically how hard can you run 3 miles with a little bit of gymnastics sprinkled in. I pulled back a little bit into the last set of toes to bar because I was hoping to be able to hit them unbroken, which I did, but then Emily also hit them unbroken. I was thinking maybe she might drop down. So in hindsight, maybe I should have pushed a little bit harder, but if I did, I might have broke those toes to bar anyways. So I'm pretty happy with my effort on that one. I think my least favorite event would be the Echo Bike Power Snatch workout or the yoke workout. And yes, I didn't do that great in either of those, and that's not necessarily why they were my least favorite. They just both were power output. So the Echo Bike, I swear I've gotten better, and every year I think I get better going into the games, and then I get almost the last place. And it's just one of those things that I have to keep working on. But being a smaller athlete and a little bit more slow twitch, I don't generate that power output that a lot of the other girls do. And then along with the yoke, the same thing. I I carried a yoke one time in the last 2 years, and it was only about 350 pounds, and that's because Dan made me do it. So when they announced a 425-pound yoke, I did feel slightly unprepared, and that is just on us for not throwing the yoke in more, which is something that we should be doing, because if there is a specific way to carry it, and if you know how to pick it up, you know how to carry it, you know how to move it, you don't have to second guess, where I was getting set, trying to second guess, and I would get caught a little bit off balance, and that's just because I didn't use it as much as we should have.
Those events in particular for Christy, if she's not the smallest athlete, she's one of the smallest athletes, and with anything power output, size is just gonna help. We're able to kind of sure up those holes a little bit if we can avoid those last places and things like that and rack up a few more points. It's crazy to think what that could do.
Yeah, so I think those are probably my least favorite. Other than that, the weekend in itself was just run extremely well. Noble did such an amazing job. All the gear was incredible. Everything about the weekend was just really fun. It was great to get to see people again. It was really inspiring to see Annie get back on the podium. Laura absolutely crushed it, and so did Tia as usual. I had a blast hanging out with the teams in the background. Haley and Mal and Emma, they're gonna definitely be a force to be reckoned with in the future. But all in all, it was a really great weekend. And if you guys have any specific questions, we would absolutely love to answer those. So make sure you drop them in the comments, and we could even take you through more of an in-depth breakdown if that's what you'd love to see.
Yeah, we just wanted to touch base. We hadn't put anything up for a little bit. We do have a bunch of content from the games, so if there is anything you guys would specifically like to see, let us know. Don't forget, smash that like button. It definitely helps us out, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
When I'm walking the streets, I know you're feeling the heat. Believe me, I'm stopping tonight.